I'm Owen Big Len. This is the Inside Edge video blog. Okay, I'm going to call this one Real Estate Quagmire, which is what we are currently right now in the Lower Mainland. Let's talk Vancouver, downtown Vancouver, surrounding neighborhoods here specifically. A lot of people ask me, well, Owen, where do you think real estate prices are going to go over the next 5-10 years? You know, why are rents so high? Are those ever going to come down? When are we going to get the big correction, if ever? And so what I would say to that is, and I've done lots of blogs on this over the years. As you guys know, I'm pretty bullish long-term on Vancouver real estate. I have been for 40 years, and I've never wavered from it. As a matter of fact, I'm more committed to that prediction than ever, especially with the way things have gone here the last 5 years with our current NDP and socialist regime that we've got here and all the restrictions on building anything in Vancouver. Throw in the effects of COVID and inflation and labor shortages, interest rates now, 11 interest rate hikes. Real estate in Vancouver will continue to go up over long periods of time. So I can pretty much guarantee, my golden rule is always 8 to 10 years. You buy a piece of property in Vancouver, as long as you don't overpay and buy a quality home, 8 to 10 years from now, you're going to have some capital gains on it. In the short term, all bets are off. Real estate goes up and down, just like the stock market from year to year. We're due for maybe a bit of a slowdown here. Maybe we're getting the early signs of it now as we head into fall. I mean, geez, the amount of interest rate hikes we've had, it's incredible how resilient this market has been. But of course, nothing for sale, never is. We're usually in a seller's market. Nothing on the horizon, and that's the big thing that I'm going to talk about here. There's nothing coming online. We're not building condos anymore. Have a look at downtown Vancouver right now. With our real estate prices and the demand we've got and 40, 50,000 people coming into the Lower Mainland, you'd think we'd see cranes all over the place, right? There's nothing. There's a few buildings that are just getting finished up. There will be a couple that'll pop up in Cole Harbour for a couple of ultra luxury towers starting at 1,800 a square foot and up. And then in another couple more years, you'll see a few more cranes going up in the West End, but those are all going to be for rental buildings, not strata. So I'm under the belief that if you can buy a current concrete condo in downtown Vancouver for $1,000, $1,100, $1,200 a square foot, which you can, I think you buy it, live in it, enjoy it, or put a tenant in it, keep it for 15 or 20 years, and it's going to look like a pretty good buy. But here's some of the things that will keep our prices high, keep us pretty much most of the time in a seller's market. Once every 10 years for a little while, we might go balanced for 18 months. And then maybe 1 year out of every 10, we might get into a buyer's market. We're due for getting into a buyer's market. It's been a long time since we've been in one. But they're usually short-lived. And maybe we see it this year moving into next year as the interest rate hikes kind of take effect. People that were on fixed-term mortgages start to renew at the current rates. Let's see. I'll give you guys lots of updates on this as we move into the fall market. But here's some of the things. Interest rates, of course. Now we probably have a tailwind to interest rates. It's incredible how well the market has held up with these current hikes in interest rates. Although I think you can lock in a 3-year term rate now for about 4.75. So some of those fixed term rates are starting to go down. But, real estate affordability is probably at its absolute highest right now. Prices have softened slightly here. You're not in the bidding wars like we were earlier in the spring, but of course your financing costs have more than made up for that. Government bureaucracy, this is, not going to change much, I don't think. Very difficult to get anything built here, both from a city level or all the bureaucracy at the provincial level, the cooling off period, the empty homes tax, the property transfer tax, all the taxes that we've got incorporated into real estate make it expensive. Definitely make it expensive to buy and sell real estate, which is why I've always told you guys, buy your principal residence and just hang on to it and avoid those friction costs. But overall, an unfriendly business environment. Not just here in Vancouver, but the whole West Coast. I've been in Seattle this summer. I was in Los Angeles a couple of times. Sometimes for the life of me, these left-leaning socialist governments that are running these West Coast cities, they are not business friendly. Sometimes I am amazed that anyone would want to get any type of business started in a city like Vancouver or Santa Monica or Portland or Seattle. Heavily taxed, lots of restrictions, high minimum wage, rental rates and lease rates are sky high. You're taxed at every corner, HST, GST, all the other stuff. make no bones about it, folks. I think it's a dirty little secret here why one of the other reasons why we're not seeing a whole lot of stuff getting built in this city. Developers, this is not a business-friendly environment, especially at both the city, but especially at the provincial level as well. A lot of times they're not going to come out and say that, but I can tell you behind closed doors, nobody wants to get into business with the NDP. They are incredibly unpredictable. You don't know what they're going to do next, what kind of tax, what kind of restriction they're going to throw at you. So for the most part, any smart business person just says, I'll just take a breather. I'll just sit back and let's see how the landscape plays out here. Wait till interest rates come down further. And that's one of the reasons why you're not seeing anything getting built here for the foreseeable future as far as new stratified condo, or at least anything that's going to be even remotely affordable. Labor shortages, so getting things built. We've got a shortage of labor here, construction workers, crane operators, rebar, concrete, all that stuff. Material costs have skyrocketed, and that ties into, difficult to get a pro forma done. So developers, a pro forma is where they calculate what it's going to cost to sell these condo units. So the cost of securing the land, running it through the city and the municipalities to get everything approved, paying all the kickbacks, the community amenity contributions, which is in the millions and millions of dollars, getting it through the NIMBYs, and then hiring a construction company, getting the concrete, the steel, the rebar, the glass, getting the labor, hiring a marketing company to pre-sell it. What's that going to cost us? What does our end condo price have to be to make a little bit of profit? And I've often said these developers aren't making profits like a bandit on these. They're making a decent level of profit for the risk they're taking, which is tremendous. They can't come up with this pro forma. And of course, let's throw in the interest rates and where are those going, and trying to forecast when they might be coming down, because for right now, it's not a good environment at 6% or 7% to get a construction loan. So for that reason, there's not going to be any cranes going up now or in the near future. They're just going to wait for greener skies, and I don't blame them. Who wants to step into this right now? I can't figure out how much I'm going to need to sell these units for to make a profit. And I can tell you, I've told you guys about these pre-sale prices. They're crazy. But that's what they have to be based on new construction and all the red tape and the government money they have to pay to get anything built. 17, 18, 2,000, 2,500 a square foot. And that's why I'm under the belief if you can still buy something at 11 or 1,200 a square foot, you guys should grab it. Well, the getting's good, because those days are long over. And for now, no cavalry on the way, nothing coming down the pipeline, or at least very little in new supply in downtown Vancouver and the surrounding areas. And even if they turn the spigot on next year, those condos are still going to be 5 or 6 years away before you get the keys on them. The luxury absorption rate, I've talked about that many times. Of course, the only thing that will get built will be a few luxury towers here and there, but even those are going to be a trickle in, because when you're selling a 2-bedroom at $3 million, or a 1-bedroom at 1.2, which is the price on these, there's only so many buyers for those. There's only so many multimillionaires that can afford that kind of purchase price. Developers are on the sidelines. The limited existing inventory will continue to appreciate as immigration increases. So again, all these reasons I've laid out here, nothing coming online, why developers are on the sidelines, only luxury being built, it's only going to increase the tangible product that's available right now. And again, I'm selling condos all the time at $1,000 a square foot. I've even had some stuff this summer at $850 a square foot. 1,100, 1,200 with parking, newer concrete buildings. I think in 10, 15 years, those are going to look like pretty good value, because they're not building those anymore. And there's virtually nothing getting built for the next foreseeable future. And, as I said before, even the luxury stuff, at least when you're building that, people that are in a 2-bed or a 3-bed or a townhouse that bought 10 or 15 years ago, that's what they're moving up to, into these $2.5, $3 million new luxury condos, and selling or freeing up their lower priced units. But of course, they're not even building very much luxury stuff right now with the current interest rates and the current supply shortage and labor shortage and the material costs skyrocketing. So there's nothing for them to even move up to. So again, it's a quagmire. It's a Mexican standoff here, where nothing is moving. The other thing, of course, interest rates are, gone way up. A lot of people are still in fixed term rates for another 2 or 3 years. Why would I sell and have to take out a new mortgage at today's rates? So you get what you get here. Rental rates, this will cause rental rates, of course, only to keep increasing. I've done lots of blogs lately on the current status of the tenancy market and the rental market, and how a lot of longtime landlords have been slowly getting out of the business, which is further decreasing the number of units for rent. Because remember, small, what we call mom and pop independent landlords make up or provide about 90% of the quality rental stock in this city. There's some old dilapidated stuff in the wood frame in the West End you can rent, and the odd newer tower that's been built over the last few years, but very little. You want to rent a 2-bedroom or a luxury condo or a duplex or a townhouse, you're dealing with an individual landlord. And the NDP has had a war on them for 5 years. They're slowly diminishing or reducing the supply of available units for rent, which of course will increase the rental prices, which is exactly what's been happening. So those reasons, it's kind of a quagmire here. Real estate prices over the long term will continue to increase. Rental rates will continue to increase. It's not going to get any easier to get into the housing market. No new supply coming online. Again, it's what I've often said here on this blog. For you young people watching my blog here, priority number one for you should be getting a foothold in the housing market, getting your principal residence. And forget about buying a 2-bed or a 3-bed or a townhouse or even in downtown Vancouver. Start with something on SkyTrain in New Westminster or Brentwood or wherever, Surrey. Get a foothold in the market, buy a small studio, and at least get out of that renter treadmill, which is an ugly place to be, and it's only going to get worse. The cavalry is not on the way here. It's not, taking out my little crystal ball here. Sure, real estate prices could take a 5% drop here over the next 12 to 18 months. Wouldn't surprise me the way interest rates are now. Inflation's stubborn. Could be a while before the Bank of Canada really starts to reduce the rates. That might not now be until 2025 or 2026. Who knows? But the bottom line is, over the next 10, 15, 20 years, that $600,000 condo you can buy in the West End now is going to look pretty good in 10 or 15 years. Get into home ownership sooner rather than later. Tough part is getting that down payment in place and getting pre-approved for the mortgage, which continues to get more and more difficult as well with these mortgage restrictions and stress test and everything else. I'm Owen Bigland. Thanks to all my new subscribers. I'll see you guys next week.